Hi there, this is Carl Irwin with another tutorial. This is going to be a bit of a mixed bag. We're going to deal a little bit in Blender, but it's mostly going to be a music tutorial dealing with options in Linux for MIDI sequencing and rendering. What we did here is I made a project. I've been doing a few of these occasionally, and really these projects are just, they're an excuse to write music. I haven't been scoring for film since I was in college. It's not something I've done with any regularity. I don't really have the contacts for that anymore, but I like to keep doing it. So I decided to make a few projects to keep writing some music for picture. Just these short little demos just as an exercise for myself and to allow myself to keep a little bit of a, I don't know, a demo, I guess, a demo reel going of techniques and also to show off some open source software and show really what you can do compared to the commercial stuff that's out there in the market, very expensive commercial proprietary stuff, using free resources that are open source and constantly being updated by the community. So this is a very quick look at the video that I made, the short film, and we'll watch it here.
Let's get started.
Okay, so there you have it. Just a very short 2-minute long movie. Short little film there, really with no great purpose, but there's a bit of a story going on there. You obviously can shoot your own movie if you wanted to, but that takes quite a bit of effort. You'd have to have the equipment to do that, and you'd have to have the people to do that and the resources to put that together and to make that production. But there's a quicker way. For what I'm doing, again, I just need an excuse to write some music. So if I can put together a sequence of images and a montage of sorts that tell a little bit of a narrative, then I'm good to go to write some music. So I found a couple of resources that can help us with that. The first one is Pixabay. Pixabay, P-I-X-A-B-A-Y. It's a lot like Shutterstock, but all of this stuff is free. And it has a free-to-use license. There's different licenses on there, but essentially it's royalty-free stock footage. Now up here, there are some ads here for Shutterstock, but everything else down here is all free. Now you can search images and you can search videos. You can search vector graphics, photographs, illustrations, various things. But there is a section for videos. So I just did a quick search on people. Most of the material you'll find on Pixabay is kind of big vistas a look at large, scenescapes, kind of panoramas, things like that, or establishing shots. But there are a few things in there with people. And what I did is I did a search and I found a grouping of shots that I thought I could force together and present a sort of a story, a little bit of a narrative here. So I downloaded a bunch of different shots that I could find on here, and I sequenced them together in order to see if I could tell a little bit of a short story of a guy waking up in the morning. He hits his alarm clock. He gets ready for the day. He's off to the office. He drives there for a meeting. Wherever that's at. And then it gives me a bit of a narrative that I can base my music on, rather than just writing music to, a nature scene or something like that, which I've done that before as well. So, Pixabay, it's all royalty-free stuff. There's quite a variety, and it's always growing, of different types of images and stock footage clips. Some of them are even little short movies in and of themselves. I mean, right here is one for scuba diving. It's about 1 minute and 10 seconds, and it's already put together as a bit of a montage of scenes. So anyway, I downloaded a bunch of those. You can download them in a wide variety of aspect ratios and formats. I go for 1280 by 720, the low end HD, because this is for internet. This is for just video on the internet on YouTube. So there's no need to go any higher than that, and it makes editing a lot easier, quicker, and a little less strenuous on the machine. So download a bunch of clips from Pixabay and start editing together your movie. Now another resource that I found is this one called soundbible.com. And the nice thing about both Pixabay and SoundBible is that they do not require any kind of registration to download. You can download for free directly as a guest, as a visitor, without registering and logging in and any sort of back-end record keeping. So on here I did a quick search for rain, and I found all these sounds that are rain sounds. So you can download them. Now this does have some license attribution on there, and you want to look that up for the very, the different types of attribution that you have to give in a film. You want to go for the public domain stuff, the things that you don't really have to credit too much. But you can download a bunch of sounds there. Otherwise, you want to make sure that you just give the appropriate credit. But otherwise, it's royalty free and free to use. So SoundBible and Pixabay. And then what I did is I downloaded all the things that I thought I would need, and I went to Blender and the video sequence editor. Now this is Blender 2.79. This is not 2.8, and there's no reason for that. I just clicked on the nearest Blender icon that I had down here, and it was still set for Blender 2.79. It doesn't matter which video sequence editor you use. They are a little bit different between 7.9 and 0.8. But essentially it's the same kind of thing that you would see in either one of them. So you can see I have my shots down here, and I put my shots together in sequence. I just tried to tell a story. I started with a guy sleeping, and this clip actually had him hitting the alarm, and then I found another shot of a shower head turning on. I thought that would be good. And then I found this shot of a man shaving, and I thought he didn't look much different from the profile that we saw over here, so I thought that might work pretty well. I pieced that in there. And then a shot of someone washing their hands, man's hands washing hands. I thought that would fit in there. And then I thought, well, maybe he's making breakfast. So I found this shot here of someone turning on a stove, male hands turning on a stove, putting a pot down. I found this close-up of burners. It probably is from the same stock submission. It looks like it's the same burners. And then I found this one here of someone pouring a cup of coffee. I thought that would be appropriate, and it kind of implies eating breakfast. And then I found this shot, which seemed to really have nothing to do with what I'm doing here, but it was a person, looked like they were in dress clothes, pushing a book into a shelf. And I thought, well, maybe this man has gotten up and he's ready to go, and he's just cleaning up, tidying up a bit. And you see a moment here where he's pushing a book back into the bookshelf before he goes on to leave the house. I thought that might fit in there to give a little bit more of a person's presence to this little short film. Then I found a shot of a man tying shoes. I thought that would be appropriate. That would fit pretty well. So there's tying shoes. And it's quite possible that these are from the same stock submissions as well, that this actually might be the same actor. I'm not sure. And then I found... actually, what I found next was a shot of a man stepping out in dress shoes out into the rain, and I noticed that these shoes were the same shoes as over here, and I thought that this must come from the same submission. So I grabbed that one, and since it's raining, I went back and I found a little stock piece here of some rain just you see the reflection in the rain there. And then I found another clip of someone. It looks like a man. It's hard to tell, but it's someone in a trench coat, in a business coat, opening up a door. This is actually a green screen shot. So the door opens, and then there's a green screen back there, so you could use it for VFX if you wanted to. But I just cut it off right when the door opened and then jumped to the next shot where someone is stepping out into the rain. I thought this was telling my story pretty well. And then I cut directly to some footage of... cars on a freeway in the rain. There happened to be some with some rain going, and I thought that fit nicely. And then you can see here the rain seems to be letting up a little bit, and I thought, well, I can get out of that. So I found this nice big kind of foggy, dark, gloomy day, but it's an aerial shot, a flying shot on a big freeway bridge coming into a city, and I thought that would be great, so I milked that one for all it's worth. Nice big long shot there. Then a close-up shot of blurry ground level street traffic, and then a shot of a pan right to left in an office building overlooking a city. A little bit nicer out now, a little bit more blue sky. And then I happened to stumble across this shot here of someone writing with chalk on a chalkboard. I don't know who uses chalkboards in a business space, but it seemed to fit, writing meeting and then a time on there. I thought that was nice, so I grabbed that, put it in there. And then I found a sequence of shots of a conference room. And it has another person here walking by, this lady's feet walking by the chairs. And I thought this looked pretty good. Looks like an empty, office setting or conference setting before people arrive. And then I found a couple more shots of that same environment. And then a shot of people sitting at a table with some technology sitting out, and they appear to be into a meeting. So I end it with that shot, and then the little credits here, the title at the very end, and then some attribution to my work. So I also put in the source for my video, at least there, Pixabay. So anyway, that's it. I edit together this movie. Then I took my sounds that I downloaded from Sound Bible, and I put those together here. So you can see, if we play this back, I just put in the sounds where I would want sound to be happening. I don't want sound happening all the time. Like right here, I don't really need sound of this going on, but I would definitely hear that water going in the shower head, so I put it in the sound for that. Sound here for water flowing. A click for that, and then the sound of... This is actually a wind sound that I passed off as a burner. Made it a little bit louder there as the camera is closer. Sound of someone pouring fluid. Some kind of pouring. And a little bit of a bump there as he puts that back in. Most of this won't show up because there's music. This is actually the sound of like leaves rustling or something. A couple of footsteps I added in there, just to make the sound of fabric. This is actually the shower head clip, just a different part of it. There's some rain. The sound of machinery on as the freeway sound. And another nondescript sound for the windshield wipers. I didn't put anything on this because I knew that I wanted to put a big musical moment on that, and I didn't really want any sound getting in the way. So I left that wide open. This is kind of the place where the music can take over. And as the music I knew would calm down a bit, we have some of the sounds of the traffic in there. sounds of people. So this is implying that there's a bunch of people there, but we don't know that. It's just a shot of an outdoor space. Some more of that people stuff. A quick note about that: as the shot changes, the volume changes, just so that it implies a slightly different location. And I left sound out of here because I knew the music would take over a bit more. And I just recorded myself saying, "Let's get started," as if someone's starting a meeting. I put it in there. A little bit of sound of crowds there. So I just put in the sounds that I needed. I knew this was going to be about music. I didn't need to fill everything in. I didn't need to put any environment white noise in there or anything to fill out the track. I only needed some sounds to tip off that there was the action that we're seeing really is happening. So once you have all of your sound clips in there, you can do a little bit of preparation and grading on the video, and don't have to just leave the video the way it is. You can try to correct some of that video, make the colors match a little bit more. So I have another scene just for that, and that's right here. So this has a vignette overlay, some adjustment layers for color correction, some fade-ins, fade-outs, and then I also added some anamorphic bars in there. Otherwise, it's the exact same project. So we export this, and then we would bring that output video into our sequencer scenario. So for our audio sequencer, for our music, we're going to be using Q Tractor as the sequencer, and we're going to be using LMMS as the instrument environment. We'll be putting those together using Jack, and then we're going to be using the Jack transport also to sync our video, and we'll use the video player XJDO along with Q Tractor, much like as if you were using Logic to play a video, but you were using some other kind of sequencer as your main mixing hub. So we'll take a look at that in the next step here, and when we're done with that, we will export our music. We'll bring our music back into Blender, and then we will put the entire film back together once we have everything all mixed together, and then we export that as our final output. So let's take a quick look at the sequencer and see how that fits together.